Do you want to clap so that I can sync the audio?
Wait, what?
Clap so we can sync the audio?
Oh, okay, sure. Hold on. Do I just do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. 喂，好，我们往后站一步吧，就站在这里，然后 ，OK， 准备好了吗？
准备好了。
好，能先解释一下这是什么？这个博物馆是什么？然后为什么在这里纠察？
这个博物馆是我们华人的博物馆。他把美国政府拿了3500万。疫情大爆发，3500万你拿了买这里楼，疫情大爆发你3500万要补助社区各行各业，没有生意关门要补助他们各行各业，你这样拿了华人博物馆，你这样就做的不对的，我们在这里抗议反对他。照珠宝城这个3500万拿出来，要补助社区各行各业，疫情大爆发关门啊，是不是没有生意啊？你就拿了3500万，拿了买这个地里，你没事华人的博物馆，还支持唐人街搞干扰，你这个博物馆出卖我们社区，出卖我们华人，我们在这里抗议反对他。
Okay, so yeah, in just your own words, do you want to explain what the picket here is about?
Yeah, sure. So we're a picket line, hosted by a coalition of different community members, workers, right? Students, kind of young people, artists, and like tenants too, community members. And we're here to protest MoCA for selling out Chinatown in many ways. And MoCA is headed by the mega landlord and developer Jonathan Chu. His family monopolizes majority of Chinatown's commercial properties. That included Jing Feng, the large dim sum hall on Elizabeth Street, which was actually the largest dim sum hall in the entire East Coast. It could fit 1,000 guests at the same time. And Chu family evicted the dim sum hall in the middle of the pandemic. So that place was really kind of the heart of Chinatown. It was where community gathered. So it was just more than a business, right? More than just a restaurant. And people did weddings there, banquets there, right? Like
so it was like a community center almost.
Definitely.
As well as a restaurant.
Yeah. And now, everybody's sad that we don't have that anymore. If you need like a large scale gathering, you have to go outer borough, right? Like into Flushing, Queens. And so, everyone in Chinatown now, and outside Chinatown too, are like, demanding for the that same place, and it was really just that location. Like where else can you fit 1,000 people, right? And like to have Chinatown to have restore its heart, its community gathering center. So Jonathan Chu has not been responsive to the call, right? And that's why we've been maintaining the picket line for 2 years.
We briefly talked about the restaurant as well, and it seems like the protesters outside think that it was a community center of sorts.
Yeah,
that it
definitely.
was the biggest dim sum parlor in the entire East Coast, right?
That's probably
could
true.
Seat 1,000 people plus. So then, what is it? Do you think they think that the museum has to do with the shutting down of the restaurant?
It's the Chu family. They just hate the Chu family.
Yeah, why?
All right. So Jonathan's father, there was another unionized restaurant in Chinatown called the Silver Palace. And it was over where now stands the 50 Bowery Hotel, which is also owned by the Chus. And for some reason, that particular restaurant, and it's back in the 1980 or so, before I even got here, it closed for whatever reason. I have no idea. But they hold the grudge that the Chu family destroyed the union there. and then they knocked down the building and built the hotel.
50 Bowery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's that.
I have one more question, and it's about Jonathan Chu. He's a big real estate developer, and he owns the hotel that's near the Manhattan Bridge. What is that?
Yeah, it's a 50 Bowery, or Hotel 50 Bowery.
Got you. What was it before? How long has it been a hotel?
So I think before that, there was, again, dim sum halls like Silver Palace, Jing Feng was there, and then I think that after Silver Palace, he, developed it into a hotel. And actually the hotel has an opium den themed bar, at the ground floor. So it was very...
Well, it's Orientalist and horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. You know that this hotel's going to sell out. So, yeah. And, this place Chinatown.
So then I guess why I'm asking about the hotel is it seems like a specific example of them shutting down a restaurant and then replacing it with a hotel, which is by definition something that is not for the community. Right. A hotel is for other people outside to stay in.
Right.
So then they've taken a community center and then turned it into a space for people outside of the community.
Right. In a former restaurant. So that spot is different. It's still a little different. It's right next to the former old Jing Feng. But yeah, you get the idea.
So now we come to the dim sum Jing Feng on Elizabeth. And COVID came. Of course, business was terrible.
Right.
I don't know any of the specifics. I know I was told that Jonathan gave them a year's free rent. But at some point, the Lam family, which owned the franchise, decided to leave. Mm-hmm. Now, they say that they didn't really decide to leave, that Jonathan forced them out. Mm-hmm. That's their contention. Okay, so, and it's just so odd that they would open up across the street. Because several of their waiters who work over there actively come over and protest before they go to do their luncheons.
I see. So the waiters there also sort of feel like they have a grudge against them.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But none of us have anything to do with it. I mean, Nobody working in the building is involved with displacement or gentrification or racism.
I think he's really putting profit over community. And I think a lot of people in our community, in and outside of Chinatown, have been experiencing higher rent, right? Like higher property tax, even for smaller, homeowners. So, we're just wondering a way how to, put out like a narrative that once come together, right, community can combat the big forces of developers and the city that's allowing the developers to build. Another thing Jonathan Chu, did as the moral compass of this museum was also to actually use their Asian American facade, identity to actually conveniently land a green light to the city to build the jail, the mega jail, 40-story tall jail, right down the street. Also next to the park that, the heart of Chinatown, the Columbus Park, and so, right now we still have a good window. The city did not find a contractor to build the jail yet. So we should really mobilize the, community, not just Chinese folks, but, everyone to really come out to, and be anti this Chinatown jail.
然后为什么这个博物馆跟那边在造的监狱有什么关系？
他拿了3500万支持搞监狱。支持谈了就搞监狱，这个就出卖社区，出卖我们华人，我们在这里抗议，反对他，照他3500万要拿出来，补助社区，各行各业，疫情大爆发关门，这样就你说不对了，我们在这里抗议，反对他，我们
3500万是有条件的，就是条件就一定要支持那个监狱才可以，
是这种情况。
那是不是觉得这个3500万是有腐败这样子的这个想法？
就是他拿了3500万支持谈了就搞监狱的。政府给他3500万，他就是支持谈了就搞监狱。我们在这里抗议，就是保护我们社区，保护我们华人，反对他3500万要拿出来，补助社区各行各业。疫情大爆发关门，是这种情况，我们反对他们，我们在这里抗议，还要给大经费。
那比如说，在唐人街住在唐人街的人，他们是大多数是支持这个监狱还是不支持？
唐人街99%都是反对搞监狱，
反对。
搞监狱搞了就没有唐人街了，华人全部都搬走了，是不是？
And it's going to really make Chinatown more run down, right? Like, we already lost so much foot traffic from the closure of Jingfeng. Like, small businesses here suffering too, because a lot of like larger, right, like banquet halls actually bring foot traffic into Chinatown. And right now it's like empty. It's like very sad. If you look at East Broadway, right, it's sad. But it's one good thing I wanted to add is that like from the 2 years picketing here, we actually built enough like public opinion or changed the direction of public opinion to be like, well, actually it is possible to have that, have more like large banquet hall for, communities to gather in Chinatown. So actually the East Broadway Mall down the bridge, it's a Fujianese kind of hub, right? Like it was empty since the pandemic, but now they, kind of signed an agreement to really reopen it into like a restaurant, and 80, it can fit like 800 people, not 1,000 but 800. So
Which is pretty big.
Yeah, it's really big. Yeah, so it's really great. And they're gonna prioritize rehiring workers who lost their job due to the pandemic. 很长时间。
抗议了多久
2年了。
2年。
对。
Over the course of the 2 years, have you got any sort of understanding of what the demands of the picketers are and what their critique of the museum is?
Yes. I mean, the demands have changed. There are different groups involved. There was first the Chinatown Art Brigade, and I never understood what their situation was. The big point was that Nancy was able to get this grant from the de Blasio administration to help to buy the building and then to expand it into a complete Chinese museum with a community center. But it became very political. Okay, so our local borough president, Gail Brewer, and Margaret Chin, who was our city council representative at that time, managed to get Nancy to de Blasio. And because de Blasio was looking for some community groups to give money to soften the blow of having this new jail construction down the street.
To soften the blow of...
Well, right, the Chinese, especially in Chinatown, feel very marginalized and that nobody looks out after their interests. Because there's been a jail down the street since 1735. Mm-hmm. And
that's the Tombs?
The Tombs, yeah. And they are now deconstructing the Tombs, and they're going to build another, probably far too large jail there. Or that's the dream of the city's dream. I'm not. I don't know enough about it to know one way or another. Sure. But a lot of Chinatown feels that the jail is going to impact badly on them. So there's that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So then, what I was hearing from just now, it seems like there is an intersection here of the issues about the jail, about displacement,
yes,
about gentrification,
yes,
and about a person who has positioned himself as a voice for Chinatown.
Right.
So do you want to talk a little bit more about the gentrification and how the community has been facing that, and also how that interacts with your picket
sure.
here?
So now back in the 70s, right? Like Chinatown, the land was very cheap. And throughout the decades of like immigrant families, working hard to build up like small businesses in Chinatown, like we actually brought up land value, right? And now it's very convenient for the racist city government to say like, okay, you functioned, you brought up the land value, we're just gonna kick you out. And that's been the like racist displacement agenda that cities always have since the Bloomberg administration.
So what were you saying is you've brought up the city sees it as the people of Chinatown have brought up the land value, and now we can move you out.
Yeah, basically kind of like we can raise the rent, like, right, encourage like, rich people to come here and, and encourage like, right, maybe because, for example, there was a rumor that like when Jonathan Chu closed down the Dim Sum Hall, there were some rumors that they're going to probably open a, Wall Street office, kind of type of thing in that, in lieu of like the, dim sum house. So, it was really that the city is collaborating with big developers, right, to, eye at Chinatown as like, fresh meat to basically build more and profit more. So
I guess from just my brief interview with them on Friday, it seems like they view this museum as a sort of false representative of the community, in the sense that where Jingfeng was a community center that shut down, and they see Jonathan Chu responsible for that.
Yes.
And then this was later created, right, as or this museum is now taking the grant from the de Blasio administration of the $35 million, and it is to soften the impact of the jail in Chinatown.
Yeah.
They see this as a sort of sellout. This is their, at least when I was there on Friday, it seemed like their main complaint is that they feel Jonathan Chu and Nancy, I forget her name, Nancy Yao, took the $35 million grant and sold out Chinatown. Do you have any way to dispel that?
I don't understand why they would say that. I mean, we are totally open. We are a free museum now. I run it like a community center. We have several partners that give classes all over the building. We're open to anybody who wants to participate.
Sure.
And I've always, as an ex-performer, you're always inviting people in, so to speak. And that's what we've tried to do. I think they've just chosen to go the other direction. First of all, Chinatown is overlooked within the realm of the city. I mean, they don't get much respect. Politically, they have very little impact, I think, until Gail Brewer stepped in and helped help this collaboration, so to speak. I think that they all thought they were doing the right thing, and it just didn't, other people didn't see it that way. Well, I'm just sorry about the whole thing. I think it's been a totally wasted, where things could have been much more cohesive, because the plan is, and Nancy's plan always was to create a community space that everyone could be involved in. It was never to be an elitist space, even though the capitalistic way is the not-for-profit is that people donate money.
But now the city's learned a smarter way almost. Like, it's not gonna, just bring in developers in the daylight, but it's gonna use, right, local, it's gonna co-op local identities and develop a whole layer of, I think at least from Chinatown, that's gonna be willing to sell out Chinatown. Jonathan Chu doesn't live in Chinatown; he lives in Battery Park City, So, and you have a lot of basically Mocha, who's willing to say that China, actually what Mocha said was that look, it's inevitable, Chinatown has to go. It's so sad we see Chinatown go, but let's at least protect this museum. Let's at least protect this museum, get the 35 million, right? And the 35 million is a conditional funding conditioned on the institution supporting the mega jail. And so from the outside, people can see, actually this Chinatown jail had community support,
because it has a community institution that has supported it,
right? And the 35 million is kind of the quote unquote community give back package. The bulk of it went to Boca.
Got you.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, many of them are communists, correct?
They're communists?
Absolutely. Yolanda Zhang is from China. She studied Marxism at McGill University. Then she came to New York. She is an avowed Marxist. Who else? Mahir Rahman. He's Pakistani. He was one of our initial thorn in the sides. He's Pakistani, so I don't know, but he's quite radical. If you go on his Facebook, you can see exactly what we're dealing with. Most of the core of the staff and workers union come from China, and are, which is
also incidentally where a lot of Chinatown comes from.
Well, of course, but as I said before, or maybe I didn't say, this particular museum is basically supported by Taiwanese, Hong Kongese, Singaporeans. They are supported by communities that were once free or are still free. And the people outside, they come from a different mind thinking. I don't think they understand the not-for-profit.
那再问一下，就是讲你的事情，你是住在唐人街住了几年啊？
我住在唐人街啊，也住在20几年了。
然后现在开始有很大的变化。
现在疫情大爆发一样，你珠宝城这里博物馆支持搞唐人街搞监狱，是不是？搞监狱，政府拿了3500万买这个building，疫情大爆发，你这个3500万要拿的补助我们社区各行各业关门，补助他们，你就这样做，补助的我们就是这样在这里抗议反对他们，
对，
要钱拿出来补助社区各行各业。
And then, so just one last question, if you will. Thank you so much for the time. The idea that the grant sort of served to soften the blow, that's also one of the key points of contestation, right? They sort of see it as the grant was a way of, let's say, disenfranchising Chinatown, in the sense that now increasingly, because the city has given money to a community center, right? They contest that too.
Sure.
Now they feel like the community actually has less of a say in whether or not the city will put up the jail. Do you have any way of dispelling that?
I don't think that's well.
That's, I think, also why the protest is happening here, because they see it as part and parcel of the jail.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that's how they feel. The jail, this is the Southern District of Manhattan. We are the most powerful court system in the country. There has to be some kind of unit to hold people coming in for their appearances. Now, this jail was, well, you need to read this book. Sorry. I have this book right here. It's always been a horror show. All of them been a horror show. I just finished this. And this is talking about the history of Rikers. De Blasio had hopes to close Rikers, but I don't think that will ever happen. And the history of abuse and conflict out there is, well, if you read this book, it's staggering. There has been a jail down there since 1735, 100 years before the Asians moved into the area. I mean, and I believe that there should be some kind of jail there. I just don't. I think the size that they're talking about is far too large.
And I think this is a good example. I think a lot of people came to the picket line because they feel like, yeah, they also feel atrocity of, higher rent, that they've been experiencing. And especially, also small businesses, right, being gone, can't pay for the rent, can't pay for the property tax, right? And so I think that, I think it's a picket line that can unite many people.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
我们反对了，就在这里博物馆，你们拿了3500万买这个地里，你出卖我们社区，出卖我们华人，是不是？
对。
I don't think that's the thing. I don't think that we have sold out Chinatown at all. I know everybody involved, and nobody is taking that view. We're taking the view as this is going to be an improvement for the community, will be a great resource down the way, and I dream of seeing hundreds of children coming through those doors, Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.